Hello and welcome to another episode of Raven Conversations, the show where we bring you the conversations from around the Washington National Guard and the Washington Military Department. I'm Jason Kreis. On today's show, the State Public Affairs Officer Joe Siemandel and the WMD's Communications Director Karina Shagren sit down and chat with Adam Wasserman. He's the manager for the state's E911 system, that's Enhanced 911. He tells us all about the history of the E911 system, how it works, and what the future holds with the new text to 911 features that are becoming more and more popular across the country. So sit back and enjoy the conversation.
Cool. Welcome, everyone. We are joined today by Karina Shagren, the Communications Director for the Military Department, making her Raven Conversations debut.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And we have Adam Wasserman. Adam, I'm going to let you say, I know you as the E911 guy, but that's probably not your actual title.
Yes, I'm the Washington State 911 Coordinator.
How long you been with the, kind of tell us about yourself. Tell us how long you've been with the agency. And
Okay. I'm a retired Coast Guard, and I joined the agency back in December of 2016, so I'm coming up on my 5 years in the position. So it's been quite a ride so far.
And always in the E911 kind of
Yes.
realm?
Yeah, I came into the 911 coordinator position. I've been in it ever since.
And last week you were the deputy director,
Yeah,
acting deputy.
don't sell yourself short.
Yeah, come on,
Adam.
Adam.
Come on.
Well, and now I'm also acting deputy director for the emergency management division while they try to fill the deputy director position.
Congratulations.
So I'm kinda filling two roles kind of there, but I have a really good team in 911, so they do most of the work, at least all the good work. So,
How many people are on the team?
so my office, we have 14 people. So the way 911 operates in the state of Washington is it's a local responsibility. So the actual handling of calls, the PSAPs, public safety answering points, or 911 centers, the county's responsible for the actual handling of the calls. The state office, we handle the network that all the calls run on. It's called an Emergency Services IP Network, or ESINet. So we manage that contract, and we also provide financial support to counties, and we provide subject matter technical expertise to counties, and also provide some training coordination for the counties.
So one of my questions I have is, what's the difference between kind of that regular 911 network that we all grew up with and what you guys are managing now? I know it's probably not, it's definitely not 30 years older, or it's 1990s. And
So a little history on 911. So back in, I had to write it down to make sure I got the date correct, February 16th, 1968 was the very first 911 call. So right before that, the FCC decided that they needed to have a quick number that people would remember and could call quickly to get emergency support. So 911 was one of them that was not used as an area code at the time, so that's why they chose it initially. And the first call was actually made in Haleyville, Alabama, back in 1968. And then
What happened? Do you know?
a senator who, they got it all set up. So a senator called and then the 911 call went to the police station. So the police station there was the PSAP of today.
So wait before you move forward? The senator was doing a test call? Or
Yes, the first call was a test call. So they could show that it works. That was the official
Understood.
call. Yes, so he didn't just randomly pick up a phone and say, you know what, I think if I go through the three-digit numbers, he'll see what happens.
I'm going to call this 911 number and see what's going on.
And then the first PSAP, or 911 center west of the Mississippi, there's a little argument there. So Puyallup was actually the next one in 1969, but Nome, Alaska, February 22nd of 68 started their 911. So
I really like, though,
48.
as a Puyallup grad, I think Puyallup should regain that honor.
Well, we'll say for the lower 48.
Okay.
How's that? Does that work good?
Yeah, works well.
So, and then it was just basically when you dialed it, it went to the designated area. Most of the time it was police stations or things like that. And then as it evolved, they began standing up actual centers that just handled the call taking and then would dispatch different things. So maybe not when you guys were a kid, but when Karina was a kid probably, and you would notice that you would have 911, but you'd probably have a sticker on your phone that had a 10-digit call to the police station, to the fire station.
I did not have that, for the record. I did not have that sticker, but keep going.
Okay, so
This is not rotary phone, Adam.
well,
where
she
we're
was.
like,
Well, that's true. That's true. You probably didn't have rotary. I had rotary, and we did have that sticker that said, here's the police station's number, and here's the fire station's number, and then 911 when it got to us. You could do the 3-digit dialing. Maybe it's because Puyallup was so early on implementing it.
Must be.
And I'm much older than you. So then it was just, and then when that number was called, it was directed to. And then as it advanced through the years, they started bringing things like enhanced 911. And basically what that was is when you made the call, there was a location device, a location attached to the call. So they knew where the call was coming from. Now that works really well for wireline phones because it's in your house and it doesn't really move around. So as we've moved on through the years, now we're looking for more information. So next generation 911 is the next step, and that's converting it to really an IP-based system where we can get a lot of more information and we can pass a lot more data through things like text, pictures, and the future, your refrigerator being able to call 911, that kind of stuff, telematics. So that's what the future of next.
It's like Adam looked at all my questions before he even he was like, man, I know exactly what he's going to ask about, and that was going to be my next question is kind of tell us about the future of 911 with texting and like the next generation, and you already kind of started to touch on.
Well, so here in the state of Washington, we just transitioned over to our next generation ESI net. So we have a network now that has the capacity and capability to handle all kinds of data. We also have the capability, so if you make a call and it, with cellular or mobile phones, the call doesn't necessarily go to the correct PSAP because cell signals can bounce around. And so we'll get them, especially down in the Portland, Vancouver area. People will be in Portland, the call will bounce the river, and they have to transfer it back. So as technology advances, and we're also trying to catch up with the mobile phone. So just to give you an idea, back in 2000, about 73% of the calls coming in were wireline phone, hardwired phone to your house. And only 27% were from a mobile phone. So 20 years later, last year, 2020, 10% of the 911 calls are coming from a landline.
Oh, wow.
And 84% are coming from a mobile phone, and 6% are coming from VoIP, or voice over IP. So a lot of people, you have a home phone and you think, oh, it's a hardwired phone. It's probably not. It's probably a VoIP service, especially if you have CenturyLink or something. It's probably VoIP. It's going over IP. So obviously with that, now these phones can move. And we have the technology in these cell phones that, there's more technology in your cell phone than put the first man on the moon. And so they can do lots of things. And so we're trying to get the network to catch up to that. We're a little more ahead of some of the other states. There are some states that still are using selective routers and they don't have an ESI net. So, but the future, well, I'm just going to keep talking.
No, I like it.
No, it's all good.
Podcast
No,
where
I
I just
think
talk.
are we ever going to get to the point though where let's say you were using Uber Eats, right? You can track your delivery driver. They're at the restaurant picking up your food. You know exactly where they're turning left, and you yell and you say, you shouldn't turn left there. Are we ever going to get to the point where we might be able to see where our first responders are at after we make this call? I mean, is that part of the next step?
Seeing where the first responders are at may not. I mean, that is a technology that we could do. Eventually, yes. I don't know if we want necessarily people to know.
Sure, I get that.
But that's a question we often get. It's like, hey, I call Domino's and they can get a pizza to me, but 911 still the first question you'll get on the phone is 911. Where's your emergency? And that is because one, technology, the calls can bounce around, but also even though you have GPS in your phone, most phones. It would take, the FCC saying that has to be enabled for every 911 call. Oh. And so they haven't done that yet. So when you call Domino's, you download the app and you tell the app, yes, I agree that you can use my position and everything. So that's why it's more accurate. There are different apps out there for 911. There's like Rapid SOS, Smart 911. There's other ones that have kind of that technology. The problem is just like the pizza app, those PSAPs would have to have the Domino's app, the Little Caesars app, the Pizza Hut app, because the expectation of the public is, well, I have this app, you're going to know. But it's the PSAP that have to download all these applications. So eventually we're getting to where the devices are now starting to what we call hybrid device-based routing. So they're starting to send that information. And when we get to complete SIP, it'll be able to come in the header. So the lat long will come through the header of the SIP message so that we'll know where it is.
Gotcha.
Sorry, long answer.
All right.
Well, yeah, that kind of goes into the question I had too. Is I never give my 509 number. I live on the west side of the state, though. I know Karina has a 509 number as well.
do.
Does that have anything to play with it? Where your area code on your phone? I mean, if they're not using the technology, where to find you if you're not giving that?
No, it doesn't, because when you make a mobile call, so you make a mobile signal, and it's going to hit the nearest tower. And it may not even be the nearest tower. It may just be the tower with the strongest signal. Yeah. So it may, skip a tower and hit another tower. And then what will happen is that tower goes, hey, this is a 911 call. And so it sends it into our network. The location it gives, the initial location it gives is probably either the location of the tower or the centroid of that where that tower is looking, kind of the center point. And then we get like phase 1 and phase 2 locations. So as the call is going on, they get more information. They start using triangulation to actually zero in. So it gets very accurate. What we're not getting is the very first location is the exact GPS coordinates of that device. That's what we want to get to.
You're kind of getting down to like the 8-digit grid, but you really need to get down to like
yes.
the 12 or 16 digits.
And then with them moving, if you're calling and you're in a car, it has to keep up with it. And it switches from tower to tower.
Yeah,
if it's a long call through, you're driving on I-90 and you're going, through the middle of, Grant County, those calls, if you're just talking to your wife or something, those calls are actually bouncing from tower to tower to keep that signal the whole way.
So how does the text to 911 going to work?
So text to 911 right now in the state of Washington, we have about 25 of our 39 counties have text to 911. Our goal, and probably our biggest objective for this calendar year, is that by the end of the calendar year, it'll be statewide. Because then we want to be able to go out with a messaging campaign saying, text to 911, call if you can, text if you can't. There are lots of cases. We have lots of stories from I just spoke to my counterpart in Indiana, and they had a story 2 weeks ago of a lady who all she could text was to 911 help and then kidnap. Oh. And they were able to, because she couldn't talk, they had her in almost using the back seat or whatever, but they were able to actually track it and bring the people and stop them and bring them to justice. So there are great reasons to use text. It helps with, if you're in your closet and there's someone in your house, domestic abuse situations. So there's great reason to have text. And we want to get it statewide, so we don't say, "Hey, if you're in this county, or this county, go ahead and text." If not, you're going to get a bounce back when you text to 911.
Wow. Yeah, that would help.
Yeah,
with messaging for sure. But the bottom line is, though, even if it is available, if you have the ability to call 911, you should call before you text.
Yes, calling first if you have the opportunity is the best, and that's just because it's quicker back and forth. We're working towards also real-time text where they're seeing you type as you go and you're seeing them type, but it's not there yet.
Yeah.
And so the calling just allows for that dialogue with the public safety telecommunicator, who I just want to put a plug in for. 911 and all the technology we have is awesome, but the most important part about 911 is the public safety telecommunicator.
The person.
The person taking the calls. That is the most important thing. They do amazing things. They go through, when someone calls 911, it's their worst day most of the time. And these people are taking people's calls. It's their worst day every time. And even if it's not what some people would consider an emergency, it's an emergency for that person. They're to a point where, hey, I'm having to call 911. That's usually not the first resort. We do have people who misuse it. But for the most part, if you're calling 911, you need help now. And so they're taking these calls, they're getting the resources headed to the scene, and then they're jumping on another call. So these telecommunicators don't always hear what happened. I had the father talking him through CPR on his child, and then the medic showed up, so we jumped off because we have other calls. Did that kid survive? And so it's a challenging job. It's a job I couldn't do. I don't have the skill set to do that. And so the people that do it are just absolutely amazing.
But there's a shortage right now, right?
There is a huge shortage.
Yeah.
Because the pay, well, depending on where you are, the pay may not be the best.
Yeah.
You have to work weekends sometimes. You have to work holidays. It's a stressful job.
But rewarding. Let's sell this job.
Yeah, no, very rewarding. Very rewarding. But yeah, it's a stressful job, and it takes special people to do it.
If someone is interested in exploring a job or career with 911, who do they reach out to? So
there are a couple ways. Now, what we have done is we have put up a website called wajobs911.com.
I got wa911jobs.com.
Thank you very much. wa911jobs.com. And basically what that does, if you go to that site, we have that site run by the state because we have listed all the counties, and you can click on your county you're in or a county you want to move to, and you can get in touch with the PSAP, the local PSAP, which is where they do the hiring. And
Okay.
it has some more information on, like, testing they do and give you an idea. And they can also do a ride-along. They can contact their local PSAP, and lots of times they'll have people come in and sit down and hear what it's like to do the job, before.
No, they are great. I always talk about my experience calling 911 when my precocious little 2-year-old locked herself in our bedroom. I didn't even know our bedroom door locked, but she locked herself in, and my husband was out of town, and my parents were out of town, and my mom said, well, you have to call 911. And I thought, that is the most ridiculous thing ever. I can't call 911 about this, but I did, and the lady on the other end of the phone was an absolute miracle worker, and the firefighters came, and they got her out. But I know that it required a lot of patience because I was a panicking mother who probably made absolutely no sense, but really did appreciate having that person on the other end who was able to go home and feel like she made a difference. So rewarding job for sure.
Oh, I every watch. I mean, we get in the state, there's 589 calls an hour across the state. And so, at this moment, someone's, talking someone through childbirth.
Yeah.
We get those stories all the time. I mean, some of the funnest things is to hear the stories from the counties and the PSAPs of just some of the amazing things these people do. And, yeah, the technology is great, but without them.
Yeah, the rewarding part. My best friend was a 911 dispatcher for about 10 years.
Wow.
The only reason he left the job is because he took a fire chief job.
Oh, okay.
So it was definitely a promotion for him. But I mean, he always talked about the rewarding of helping somebody kind of through that stressful moment of life where they were there holding a weapon, ready to do harm to themselves, and kind of talking them off of that ledge. And he said it was always rewarding to go home and know that he saved that person. So
it's just amazing. And then you get to the other side of the fence when you look. So at least nationally. 911 telecommunicators are considered clerical.
Oh.
They're not considered first responders.
Oh, interesting.
So there's a big push at the federal level called the 911 Saves Act, where they're trying to pass that they are considered first responders.
Yeah.
And here in the state, we're trying to push things like that too through the organization APCO and NENA, which are some 911 organizations. They're trying to push and hopefully push some legislation to do that. But there's some local counties. I know Jefferson just did it, and I believe Clickitat just did it, where they had a county ordinance that says, hey, 911 telecommunicators are considered first responders. And it's important because they are the first responders. So trying to get that stuff like that pushed because it means a lot.
Yeah.
I don't have any more questions.
No, I just think we really appreciate you coming here, Adam. Our department, the military department, the missions and the work that we do is so diverse and so all over the place that it's always nice to have someone come in and kind of tell us about one more component of the military department that a lot of people probably aren't even aware that we do this, but we've got a talented crew that really manages this program for the rest of the state, and I think it's great. So thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and one more time, the website, if anybody's interested, is wa911jobs.com. I know that probably helps you guys at least promote that, hey, the jobs are out there, and they need to be filled, and they're important. So no, thanks, Adam.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.